Why are some experts going against the grain and trying to be unique and sweet and funny, picking Akron over Arizona? Well, it's not sweet and it's not funny. Me and Damon are going to break it all down on the other side of this countdown. Don't you go anywhere. It's the AZ Wildcats.
Welcome on into the AZ Wildcats podcast on a beautiful Wednesday morning here in Phoenix, Arizona. We are here at PHNX HQ. I'm Damon Fairall. He is Kevin Thomas. And Kevin, I could feel, I'm starting to feel a little bit of antsiness, I think, in the office. I think me, you, everyone around here is ready for the Arizona Wildcats to suit up for a basketball game in the first round here. Enough talking about it, Kevin. Let's get to playing it.
I need basketball games, Damon Dog.
This is true.
I need Arizona to play a damn basketball game because at this point, I'm tired of talking about the Akron Zips. I'm ready to talk about real basketball. I'm not saying that they're not a real team, but I'm thinking, this is not the matchup I'm excited about. You know what I mean? I want to see Liberty Bibberty. I want to see Oregon. I want to see Duke. No, I'm kidding. Akron is a real opponent that Arizona has to handle, but that's for the locker room. To not look ahead, you know? Our job is to look ahead and get excited about other stuff. And so, yeah, Damon, we're going to preview Akron fully tomorrow with our guy Corey Williams as well from the McHale Madness podcast. McHale Madness going down tonight at 7 p.m. I will be there, so should you as well.
Oh, it's tonight. Did that change?
No.
Oh, I thought it was on Thursday.
No.
Originally.
No, no. We were trying to dodge the Thursday, actually. But, Damon Dog, yeah, so we're going to break all that down tomorrow. But today... we are going to kind of, do some other basketball talk, Damon. I wanted to talk to you about the court that released recently. The Final Four dropped their court, and I know you and I, we're kind of public enemy number one. I don't know if you know this.
When it comes join to us court for culture, cold takes, man.
Yeah, cold takes and court culture is what me and Damon Dog are all about. Because the Big 12 court, we talked about it, Damon.
Fire.
We thought it was fire. Some people thought it looked like linoleum. You know what I mean? And I
watched the whole tournament, Kevin. Came away liking it more than I did when I sent that tweet off originally that everybody got so mad at in this fan base and said, what am I looking at? I want to gouge my eyes out, blah, blah, blah. I'm sitting there walking through, Vegas casinos, Kevin, pointing it out to all my boys going, this is the court that everybody was coming at me online for saying was fire. Every single one of them was like, that court is fire. Yeah. And this isn't a group of people that is like, wow, Oregon's court is awesome. Everyone hates Oregon's court. But for some reason, Big 12 court just didn't do it for some people. I thought it was cool. This court's even cooler, Kevin. Let's go ahead and take a peek at it. The Final Four court, God willing, Kevin.
Ooh.
God willing, brother. I need the Arizona Wildcats and their navy blue throwback uniforms on this court. Make me feel like I'm in the 90s again, even though I don't really remember the 90s at all because I was less than a year old, Kevin.
Yeah.
And you weren't around at all.
Nope. Wasn't even an idea.
I'd love to for someone to take maybe some grainy pictures of Arizona on this court, make it look like it was back in the old days. Maybe that's the vibe we need is it, since we can't get a modern history Final Four, Kevin, maybe we need to pretend like it's the good old days again, and that'll bring us back over the top.
Damon, I'm with you on that. Brendan's trying to bring family back to Arizona football. Maybe we need to bring the 90s back to Arizona basketball, Damon. I kind of like that idea. We've been talking about bringing the cactus back to the court. We've been talking about bringing the lights up in McHale, trying to figure out how to recreate the sentiment of the ooh-ah, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we honestly, we do got to bring back the throwbacks, Damon Dog. And I love that court. Like that court has to be in no one can say that court's ugly, right? Like no one's gonna be in this chat saying that court doesn't look good. That's a beautiful basketball court, Damon. The color contrast, it pops. I love the little star details at the ends for the San Antonio kind of situation. I think it's a beautiful court. I think I loved last year's court. Like, I loved the court it was here in Phoenix, Damon, as well. But I think this one kind of rivals that one for me. I really loved that court.
I think this one is better, honestly. I really like this court, Kevin. And I'd love nothing more than to see our Cats playing on it. Alec here in the chat says, fellas, we get an Arizona thigh tats if they win the Natty. I mean, I think have to at least some sort of a tattoo in some capacity.
I would
Kevin.
do it today.
I'm thinking ass tat for me personally. I think right here it would look pretty good. You don't like that?
What? Yo, I've never, ever heard someone first instinct when you've been offered a thigh tattoo go, nah, honestly, give me the rear end. What?
Just rotate it 180.
You're a wild boy, Damon, dog. I'm going to leave this one on the table. But I think I've been thinking about getting the old school Wilbur.
Okay.
Like with the hat and the A, like somewhere on my arm somewhere. So I think, Alec, if they make a Final Four, I'll do it. You know what I mean? Like, I might end up doing it anyway. So, like, why not?
Kevin, not a fan of my tattoo ideas. That's fine.
I'm not a fan. I thought it was an interesting
Alec thought
first
it was a fire
jump.
idea.
Alec, I love the W Damon dog for that. I'm not saying it's an L. You can do whatever you want with your tattoos. But I think it's certainly
earmuffs, Cohen. Earmuffs.
Certainly an interesting place to start when you've been offered a different location. You know what I mean, Damon dog?
Our sweet intern Cohen coming here in the chat and saying that was out of pocket. Your ears are too young to hear such nonsense. If you're in the chat right now, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you guys. Erica Day, always here, host of the great Wildcats Spaces at 8 p.m. on Mondays. She said that the court was not good looking for the Big 12 tournament, Kevin. And so that the NCAA court, in the same token, should have NCAAs plastered all over it, like the 12s were plastered all over the court. Did you say that?
I didn't say that exactly, but I think she's paraphrasing what I said.
Okay.
That was the exact sentiment of what I said, yes. I was saying you can do whatever you want with your tattoos.
Nick Hart says he'll get the cactus logo with year on his thigh. I love it. I think there's a way you could put the year in the mountains that would look pretty nice.
You could also maybe put like 97 in there somewhere. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like start stacking them so that throughout the rest of your life till you're on your deathbed, you have all the Arizona national championships all the way down. That would rip pretty hard. Alec is right. Our friendship group, there is one particular guy in the group that this is kind of his thing. That's why it popped in my head. But
that makes a lot more sense now. That makes a lot more. I've never been around someone.
Why would you put a tattoo there? Is this Kevin's mom?
This is the hard hitting content we bring to you people. But I did want to ask you, Damon. We topped off the show by talking about experts kind of doubting Arizona. Nick Hart said it in the chat that the Arizona slander has been crazy as of recently. You kind of even talked about it with T-Mac as well. It's not just one sport that's getting the hate, Damon. It's also the football players that are getting the doubt as well. We got Jeff Goodman. We kind of touched on this the other day, doing the zip them up as his, co-hosts, lose their minds as he goes against his alma mater. And he kind of makes it into a thing. Yeah. And I feel like, sometimes you're just trying to be sensational, right? And I guess the question I love to pose to the chat and to you as well, Damon Dog, are do you think that the people picking Akron, right, genuinely believe that Akron will beat the Arizona Wildcats? Or are they doing a little bit of upset hunting? Like how we went through our bracket yesterday. If you haven't watched that, check it out. But you're doing your bracket and you're going through it, and sometimes you just have too many high seeds, and it's like when you on a multiple choice test and you have C, and you're like, that third one can't be C, right? It has to be B. You know what I mean? So are you just kind of trying to be different in that way, or do you think that Akron is legitimately dangerous enough to give Arizona enough problems to where it's a good, solid pick?
It's an interesting conversation, Kevin. I do think that Akron is a team that, they deserve a lot of credit for how great of a season that they've had. They ran through their conference. They left no doubt, right? They won their conference tournament. They went, 20-1, I believe, throughout the MAC, throughout the course of the regular season and conference tournament. So you got to give these guys a lot of credit. They got the Johnson and Johnson duo. Obviously, we've talked about them. Player of the year plus defensive player of the year in the conference. I think that all of that being said, like they are a team that should be taken seriously, but Arizona doesn't have a quad 2 loss all season, Kevin, and this is a quad 2 team. Like it really is that.
No, exactly.
It really is that simple. And this Arizona has not lost a team the caliber of Akron all season long. I wouldn't expect it to start here in the NCAA tournament. They're playing good basketball right now. We watched them play in the Big 12 tournament, against the highest of the high level competition, right? Like, I don't know if anyone had a harder run of 3 games than Kansas, Texas Tech, Houston in their conference tournaments. And Arizona performed very admirably. So I think, while Akron deserves respect and I think that Arizona, the mentality in the locker room has to be, hey, we have to treat this game very, very seriously and like it's, the Super Bowl, if you will. But at the same time, I'm personally not scared of Akron because I just don't think that they're the caliber of team that can beat Arizona, that can knock off in Arizona. So that's where I'm at with it, Kevin. How do you feel? Are you in a similar realm with that? Like, I guess I'm also a little bit confused by West Virginia was a quad 2 loss, the first West Virginia game. I mean, I guess if you really want to quantify it as that, but they ended the season quad 1, so sure.
I mean, I was gonna say, Damon, dog. I think that I agree with you. Like, my mom did put it in the chat, but by saying that there's no way they can't win is kind of jinxing it, and overconfidence isn't great. But that's for the locker room to worry about. You know what I mean? I feel like that's for the players to worry about.
Yeah.
They got to lock in on the day-to-day. Who's your opponent in front of you? Me and Damon, as fans, as pundits, we get to sit here and be like, hey, I don't think Akron's good enough to beat Arizona. Like, I'm not gonna try to, tell you any different. Akron should not be able to be on the same court as Arizona. And if Akron was able to do something and pull off some sort of miraculous upset, then we could sit here and talk about where Arizona failed, right? But going into this game, there is no reason why Akron should give Arizona a scare, right? For example, I'm getting this from Matthew Winnick on Twitter, formerly of The Score. Tommy Lloyd's Arizona teams have played 28 non-power conference schools in games that have hit at least 70 possessions, right, Damon? They've won by an average of 30.5 points. And he goes on to say, I would wager extreme coin that Friday's game versus Akron hits 70 possessions. I feel like, Damon, and you laid out with the quad 2 stats as well. And honestly, shout out to Mr. Tyler Warden. He's on fire. We keep talking about it, but he's on fire. March Madness is, we talked about Trey Townsend flipping the script when March turned over on the calendar.
You're telling me the real Mr. March
I think Mr. March is really actually Mr. Tyler Warden, because he actually laid out on Twitter, I saw it in my feed yesterday, a comparison between Akron and Samford, I believe. And kind of how
I saw it a couple days ago.
There are some similarities between those two teams. And when you look at like the level, like yesterday I was talking about how Mizzou and Arizona are not similar teams. When you look at the statistics and what they do and how it bears out, they're in a similar tier, right? Akron and Samford are not the same team, but when you look at how their analytics bear out over time, you do get a similar result to a Samford, and Arizona whooped all over Samford. So I feel like, Damon, again, we are very confident in this pick of Arizona, and I just, it's confidence because there's no reason that Arizona should be scared in this matchup. There is no reason. Akron's undersized, underskilled. And Arizona has the better athletes, and I believe the better coach as well. So,
and Akron wants to play a similar style.
Yes. And I think the recipe for an upset is actually slowing down your opponent, not speeding them up, especially when they're used to speed.
I wouldn't say that it's necessarily, input, output, slow them down, but it is, I think, contrasting style for what
good point.
The higher seeded team wants to do. So, like, if a team like St. Mary's, say that they had an even better season, they were like a 4 seed, I think that an Akron matchup would be maybe a disaster for a St. Mary's, right? Because there's a chance that Akron just has an offensive output in that game that St. Mary's just can't match. And it could even be a blowout of senses. But that's why Liberty scares us, Kevin. I think that's exactly why Liberty scares us, is they are such a contrasting style. They do shoot threes at such an elite level, whereas Akron is way more similar to Arizona. And I think that fills me with confidence. Also, Kevin, you mentioned it. Jeff Goodman, obviously Arizona alum. He picked Akron. Jake Marsh, formerly of Barstool and a decent name in college basketball world. He picked Akron. You also have
I saw some people over at Fox Sports taking Akron spread, which is technically an Akron pick, but I mean,
I guess, yeah. John
Fanta.
John Fanta, he's at Fox, college basketball on Fox, broadcaster. He picked Akron, so there's and I do know that he's from Ohio, so I think that plays into it a little bit.
It does.
But yeah, I think that it's become, I would say, in my opinion, Kevin, Akron is a popular pick because Arizona is a popular team that loses in games they shouldn't in March. That's the sole reason. I don't think that there's really much analysis to it. I don't think that they're really getting into the nitty-gritty of it. I think they're looking at an Akron team that had a great season, right? And then they're looking at an Arizona program that is known for losing these type of games. And whether that's fair or not, especially under Tommy Lloyd, right? Because I think you lose to Princeton in the first round, you make 2 other Sweet 16s, and all everybody remembers is, oh, Tommy Lloyd loses early in March.
Yeah.
Tommy Lloyd's a choker.
Yeah.
And you're like, also, and I will say, like, he choked against Clemson. I'm more mad about that Clemson result than I am about that Princeton result.
Wow.
Because I know that team had no juice. And I know that the team last year, if they beat Clemson, there's a chance that they continually go on a run, right? That's the Elite Eight.
That's a good point, yeah.
You never know, right? So, like, that Clemson game I thought was a pathetic performance last season. But it was still in the Sweet 16. It was after 2 W's, right? So, I don't know. I think it's somewhat of a lazy take, Kevin. I don't think that they're really looking into the matchup too much. I really do think that people are just looking at the logos and saying, hey, this is a team that we know that they choke. So we're gonna pick them to choke.
Additionally, Damon, you mentioned the fact that Tommy Lloyd's kind of paying off old debts in a way, right, with the Princeton thing as well. But Damon, he's also paying off old program debts, right? People are bringing up the Buffalo situation.
Yeah,
people
totally.
People are bringing up the overall
Wichita
program
State
record. They're bringing up
that happened 10 freaking years ago.
Exactly. They're bringing up overall program records in certain rounds of March and 18. Like they're looking for ways to say Arizona chokes when the lights get the brightest, right? But I just don't feel that that's Tommy Lloyd's issue right now, right? I don't know if I mean that's pretty much what you just said.
Tommy Lloyd's issue is not losing to mid-major schools.
No.
And I know he lost to Princeton, but that Princeton team was very, very good, man. And we keep going back to like our Spaces talk, Kevin, but Kobe was talking about it in the Spaces on Monday. Like that Princeton team was probably underseeded. That team made the Sweet 16. They were really, really freaking good, man. And then you also had, Houston was underseeded. Clemson, I think that's why that Clemson game is what bothers me more than anything, Kevin, is because I look at that game and I say, wow, Arizona shot themselves in the only Jaden Bradley showed up to that basketball game out of the whole team. Jaden Bradley showed up. No one else showed up. Arizona still barely lost and had a chance. And Clemson was just in no way, shape, or form better than Arizona that season, this season, any season, really, Kevin. But Princeton I thought was underseeded. Houston was underseeded. And sometimes there's nothing you can do when, you run into a team that is I don't want to say Princeton was better than us, but they certainly were in that tournament. Houston was better than us that year, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not concerned about Akron. I've never really been concerned about Tommy Lloyd losing to non-power conference opponents. I would say that Liberty, because of their contrasting style, scares me a little bit, and Oregon just because of the history. And I know Dana Altman is such a good coach in March that. That would concern me a little bit. Really not worried about this first round, Kevin.
Me either. And again, I'll repeat it. I'm not worried about it. But if Arizona gives us reason to be worried, we're gonna get real worried. You know what I mean?
Panic button will be out on the table in 2 minutes if need be, Kevin. Like I'm not even kidding. Like I'll watch 2 minutes of the game and be like, all right, that's it. Let's see. We'll go like 0 for 4 and like miss 2 threes and like turn the ball over twice, and I'll be like, Akron will go up 6-0, and I'll be like, that's it, guys. I guess we're the joke of college basketball again.
Yeah, I mean, to pull the curtain back a little bit, it's kind of pulling at me because if no one in this chat has ever watched a basketball game with me, if Arizona loses the tip or if they don't get first basket, I kind of just jokingly go, oh, well, we lost. Should we start the post-game show now?
Except I wouldn't be joking.
Exactly. No, it would be different. There. Exactly. Yeah, it would be a lot different.
When I said it was over after a 6-0 Akron run to start the game, I would genuinely mean that it's literally never been more over.
Damon, I actually might be with you. If Akron hops out to like a 6-0 start in this game, I think we should just start the post game. I think we should just run it up at that point. We pretty much would have just gotten off the pregame. Everything would still be there. We could just turn it back on. Turn the lights on and run it up. But no, Damon, I'm kidding about that. But I will say, I mentioned it earlier. The doubting of Arizona, athletics has not stopped at just basketball. We got NFL greats, NFL legends. We got Steve Smith throwing some shade at T-Mac, kind of saying he can't do what we all think he can do. And Damon and I are going to talk about everything Steve Smith had to say after this quick break. Well, Damon Dog, it's almost summertime here in Arizona. It's getting a little hotter in the state of AZ, and that's why I use our friends over at Mando. Mando is, honestly, Damon, it's the place to be if you need some boosts to your hygiene routine. Like I said, summer's coming around the corner, and one way to integrate Mando into your daily routine for sure is to pick up their starter pack, because you can also choose their deodorant wipes in that starter pack, and you can keep those in the car. That's what I've been trying to tell people to do. I'm going to keep telling people to do that. Keep it in the car, and if you're ever, in a rush and you can't get out the house and you just, I forgot my deodorant. Dang. I can just, grab my little glove box, deodorant wipes, get the job done. Mando is whole body deodorant. It's safe to use anywhere on your body, your thigh folds, your under your belly, your pits, your back. If you got neck rolls, you can do that too, behind the ear, even on your feet. If you got stinky feet, go with Mando. Created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. Clinically proven to control body odor better than just a shower with soap alone. Mando's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, and 2 free products of your choice. As a special offer for our listeners, you get $5 off your first starter pack. That's 40% off of a starter pack, Damon Dog. Use code PHNX at shopmando.com. That's SHOPMANDO.com. Please support our show and tell them we sent you. Stay fresh head to toe with our friends over at Mando.
2 ways of staying fresh, Kevin, in this world. There's the Mando way of smelling better, but there's also the Branded Bills way of just looking fresher, right? So when we talk about our friends over at Branded Bills, we wax poetically, but we mean every word of it. We went and visited their facility in Mesa, where they're doing, all their production, creative work, just their business, regular business work, Kevin, and just great people over there. We love their company. We love their, a lot like us, just creative individuals, trying to, do right and make a good product that their customers will love. We love our friends at Branded Bills, whether it's the snapbacks, truckers, fitted beanies, or tees. Branded Bills has you covered with all sorts of options, and you can make custom-made apparel as well with our friends at Branded Bills. Just submit your logo and see what kind of products that you can get made for you. There's not gonna be any better custom apparel. There's all those big companies you can look up online, or you could go to Branded Bills and they're gonna treat you like like a local company would, but they are expanded national now. I go out everywhere, Kevin, around America, and I just see Branded Bills apparel and hats.
The stocks are rising.
It's genuinely shocking, because it's an Arizona company, right? But I'll be out in Indianapolis for the NFL Combine, and I'll see just an NFL media guy just walking down with a Branded Bills hat on, and I'm like, those are our friends. That's our guys at Branded Bills. And Arizona fans, head on over to the bookstore, and they have a whole campus collection that is gonna blow your socks off. It's unbelievable. Kevin sent me a picture of it one time. Head to brandedbills.com. Use code PHNX for 20% off your first order.
Well, Damon, I teased it before the break, but I saw something in my feed last night that kind of drove me crazy, Damon, dog.
Yeah.
My guy, I love Agent 89. Actually, I think, very entertaining receiver, incredibly talented receiver. I think he's a funny dude. But he had something to say about our guy T-Mac, and we can't play the video because the people who edited that video threw some music behind it, and I wanted him to, because Steve Smith kind of said it. I think, the quote makes it seem like he's kind of hating on T-Mac, but I think when you actually watch the clip, he's doubting T-Mac for sure, but it's not hate, right? But he did say, quote, he leaves a lot of plays on the field, and then he continued to say he's kind of just a jump ball guy. He kind of said his route running wasn't up to snuff. He didn't really see, he didn't really see much of a route tree in his future. which I thought it was silly.
I'm laughing right now, Kevin, because I'm watching the video and reading the captions of Steve Smith, obviously because I don't want the audio to get played. And as Steve Smith on the caption says, I don't think he has a dynamic route tree. T-Mac runs an out and up and breaks an ASU defender's ankles to the ground. The guy literally face plants into the ground because T-Mac's route threw him so off, and then he catches a touchdown pass over the top. It's like you're watching a disgusting route happen as he's talking about the routes not being good enough, and I find that pretty ironic.
It's like, what does? And I understand, we talked about it yesterday. Actually, our guy in the chat, Lost Highway, shout out to you, mentioned this and brought it to our attention that last season really could have ruined some people, right? Some players on this team and their future potentials. Luckily, it doesn't seem like it did, but it definitely altered the direction of their careers, right? And I think this situation is one where this is one manifestation of that, in my opinion, Damon Dog. Because if Arizona had a more competent offense last year, you think T-Mac's not showing off against some of the opponents that they had up against them? I'm not saying that Arizona would have routed people, but I'm saying T-Mac would have certainly looked like the hands down best receiver in the country, undeniably. Like, we all know that here, but there are some people out there that would argue different. For example, Steve Smith, who has Matthew Golden ahead of T-Mac, and I
love Matthew Golden.
I love him too. I love Matthew Golden too, but I would posit that if T-Mac was thrown in the Matthew Golden spot, that maybe things would be different. And I will also say, for reference, that Steve Smith has T-Mac as the number 2 receiver in the class. So it's not like he has him down at like 5 or like, you know what I mean? It's not like he's truly saying that T-Mac isn't going to be a guy in the league.
You're nitpicking a prospect that's this good. But I will say that, like, I on Matthew Golden, I watched him throughout, a lot in the college football playoff, obviously. I think that's, when I watched most Texas games, which, I think most people would concur with that. But he was really dynamic. He was getting open. He was catching with his hands, and then he had a phenomenal combine, Kevin. So, yeah, I think, Golden checked every box this entire offseason, at the end of the season through the offseason of what you want to see in a draft prospect. And his rise has been earned. I have been higher on him than, a Luther Burden for a while.
Damn.
Or a guy like that. But
that's my guy.
T-Mac's your guy.
Well, no, I
if you got if I'm telling you, like,
I just meant like Luther Burden. Like, I
know you're a
Luther
Mizzou
Burden
dude, but like kind of loosely. But like at the end of the day, Kevin, if you have one guy,
it's T-Mac.
It's T-Mac.
It's T-Mac. Yeah. I didn't mean that as being exclusive. I just meant like,
Well, I do.
Like that's also a guy that I appreciate his talents.
Who's your favorite child?
I'm choosing T-Mac 10 times. Fate of the world on the line. The Death Star is shooting the laser at the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Give me Tetairoa McMillan. You know
Love
what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to say, like, I think Matthew Golden's great. This guy was a projected second, third round pick as recently as December, January, Kevin. And he's now worked his way up to being a first rounder. T-Mac's been a first rounder since he was in high school. The guy has been the number 1, number 2 receiver at every level nationally since he was, probably like 15, 14 years old. And I just don't. I don't really think it's a competition. Again, love Matthew Golden's game a lot. Think, a playoff caliber team will get a great receiver late in the first round on a guy like that. But T-Mac is just different breed of athlete. And here's the other thing. Like, I know there were some people doing it with Marvin Harrison Jr. last year because we were so locked in on what was being said around him, Kevin. But I see a lot of similarities in T-Mac versus Marv, just in terms of like, they're not your burner, run after catch, even though T-Mac is electric run after catch. Don't get me wrong. Like, he's the best run after catch receiver in the whole draft. But like, I think that, he projects as more of a, for lack of a better term, like Steve Smith said, like more of a jump ball receiver. Like he's more of a physical guy, like a, win his one-on-one matchup when he's isolated type of guy. And I think that was the thought process on Marvin going into this year. And Marvin didn't run a 40. And there were some people, but most people were like, Marvin doesn't need to run a 40.
Correct.
He's the best receiver in the draft.
Yeah.
Why does he need to run a 40? And that was in a tighter receiver race. That was in a receiver race that had Malik Neighbors. And even Roma Dunze, who didn't have a great rookie season, but was supposed to be, and
showed
still
some
could
flashes,
be really good.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas Jr. was electric. Lad McConkey was great as a rookie.
The DD.
I mean, you have all sorts of rookie receivers that were popping off across the league, right? And Marvin was still consensus number 1, didn't run a 40 because he didn't have to, because he's a physical specimen. That's what, I mean, T-Mac is all of those things, Kevin, except he did run a 40. He did what people wanted him to do. And he proved to them that he wasn't like some slow freak that was never going to make it in the NFL. Oh, you should move to tight end. Like, he ran the same time that big receivers like Mike Evans ran, Drake London, who and go check out my short on it that I did yesterday. Drake London just said he ran a 4.5, Kevin. He didn't run a 4.5. He told people, fastest I can run a 4.5. Tells me you can run a 4.6. Straight up. I'm being serious. I know. So
I'm letting you cook. You're cooking right now.
Drake London was a top 20 pick in the draft. You look at Larry Fitzgerald. He ran a 4.63. Larry Fitzgerald is, T-Mac's idol.
He's on the wall back here.
Hall of Famer.
Legend of the
mural on the
state,
wall in THNX HQ. Like, Larry Fitzgerald wasn't the fastest guy in the world. Didn't need to be. Caught everything. That's what T-Mac does. He catches everything. So at the end of the day, the 40 time, it's a stupid thing to care about. I really do think his time was good enough. If you think that it wasn't, like, I honestly, you just don't really understand the NFL draft. Like, if he was 5'11" and he ran that time, yeah, I'd be a little bit concerned. But he's 5 inches taller than that. I saw a thing right now, Kevin, like Travis Hunter versus T-Mac top speeds that they recorded this year. T-Mac is 0.5 miles per hour slower than Travis Hunter.
Wow.
He's 5 inches taller and weighs 25 to 30 more pounds.
He's a freak. We mean that in a great way, but there really isn't a better term for it, because he is someone that he's the 5-tool player in baseball, right? Like, he's the guy that can truly do everything you need him to do when you put him on the field.
Yeah.
And you don't find those guys very often. And I was thinking while you were saying that, and I guess this is kind of the sentiment of what you were saying, but what more does T-Mac have to do, right, to prove that, hey, I'm not only undeniably the best wide receiver, but I can also do a little bit of everything. Yeah. And I think I've shown that over the course of my time in college. And not only that, Damon, sometimes you get these 5-tool players and off the field, they're divas, or
totally.
they don't have their head in the game. They're not business first. They're rocking crazy chains and they're focused on money. And T-Mac just wants the ball. He wants to be the best receiver he can be. He's business first every step of the way. He's elite talent every category you go through. And I feel like I really don't understand what it is, Damon. Why he's being doubted the way that he is being doubted. And I honestly, this is the best case scenario for T-Mac, to be honest with you, because now he's got a little bit of a chip on his shoulder going in the league, and there's really no reason for him to have a chip on his shoulder coming into the NFL, but now he does. And I think that, hey, I'm looking forward to T-Mac's NFL career, because some team is going to get the best wide receiver in the draft, probably a little bit lower than they should have.
Yeah, and there's a an argument to be made that, like, if he was to slip at all, that just puts him on a better team.
That's what I'm saying. Like, this is
like, if teams like the Panthers and the Raiders are like, hey, we don't really want any piece of that, we don't think he's worth that pick. Cool, man. Go be a Charger.
By all means.
Yeah, go be a Tampa Bay Buccaneer.
That ain't no problem. Go
be Justin Herbert's number one target. Go be Mike Evans' understudy, in the twilight of his career, Hall of Fame career. Like, I think, I think it's better for T-Mac if he slips a little bit at the end of the day, but I still don't really expect him to be honest with you. I think that this is the narratives and discourse that come out of draft season every year. I don't think teams are buying into this that much. I think teams care way more about what they're watching on film and on tape and what they're listening to in meeting rooms than they do about what T-Mac ran timed at his pro day, Kevin. So ultimately, I think a lot of the discourse around T-Mac is lazy. It's the stuff you find around a lot of big receivers when they're just trying to nitpick your game and find any flaw with you. I ultimately think that the problems they talk about are silly. I don't think that they're necessarily rooted in truth. Is he the greatest route runner of all time? No, he's not gonna be, because he's 6'5", Kevin. Like, you're not gonna cut in and out of breaks as fast as everybody else. But that being said, he's not bad at it. Like, that is an over exaggeration and oversimplification of his game. So yeah, I think I see a lot of similarities from what they talked about with Marvin last year, but on steroids. Because he isn't the prospect that Marvin is, like, straight up, but he's somewhat close. But I just think it's another example of a physical receiver and a guy that just He of course his 40 time is not going to be the fastest in the world, but you have to grade it on a curve. You can't just you can't look at Tank Dell's 40 time and compare it to T-Mac's and look at it the same way.
Tyreek Hill's 40 was...
T-Mac is probably a good 10 inches taller than Tyreek Hill. Not even exaggerating.
No, you're not actually
so it's
exaggerating.
It's I would hope he's a little bit quicker in his 40. Yeah. But also, like, if we were doing a competition of who could jump, and get their hand on it. I'm not talking like straight vertical, because that's based off of how high you can get off the ground. They measure it based off of your height and whatnot. But I'm talking like just like how, like what they could dunk on, like a rim that we're making up, Kevin. Like T-Mac's probably dunking on like a 12-foot rim, dude. But it is honestly, what it Damon, is. I thought, honestly, it's a blessing to have a prospect that's in this position.
Yes.
Because it means that you're relevant. It means that you got guys at the top. So, I think that as Arizona fans, like, while we should be defending our guy, and, if we're not defending T-Mac and grabbing the pitchforks and torches for him, who are we ever going to do it for when it comes to this football program? He is a perfect representation of Arizona football, great teammate, best player I've ever watched in my life at this program. And it's like, that being said, like it's pressure is a privilege, Kevin. And, the fact that we have a guy that's being talked about like this is great news for Arizona. And it's going to be fun to watch his development in the league.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say on the T-Mac tip of this iceberg is that you kind of alluded to it, but we talked about it with the March Madness talk of Akron versus Arizona. Sometimes you just overthink things, right? Like sometimes this is the time of year where you have a lot of time to think about something, and ordinarily you would be like, hey, T-Mac, that's the best receiver in the draft. I just watched it. That's the best receiver in the draft. But when you spend 2, 3, however many months, right, just watching film of every receiver and trying to, make sure you're not missing on a guy, right? Make sure you're keeping your job if you're a GM, right? This is the huge decision for you. There's a little bit of overthinking, and there's a lot of voices in the room sometimes with these decision makers and these things. So I think ultimately you're right that T-Mac won't fall as far as maybe some people might speculate, simply because he's too talented to do that, right?
And to your
it's
point,
a little bit of overthinking. That's my point. It's just too much. It's a little bit of overthinking, and by the time draft night comes around, things will shake out the way we expect them to shake out, and we're just kind of in that weird time right now.
Totally. I think to your point earlier, Kevin, as well, like similar with Marv, like I think you get in a room with that guy and you're like, you just fall in love with him. You're like, this guy's a football player. All he does is eat, sleep, breathe football. He wants to win. He's going to be a good teammate. He's not going to cause any problems. I think T-Mac's the exact same way. Like they did those interviews at the combine with him. I bet you all the people that talked to him walked away being like, what a great kid, right? Like it just straight up. And Alex says here in the chat, like, shocked at his frame when he saw him in person. He is, dude. He's huge. He's tall as hell.
He's a hulking person.
Got some mitts. Shook his hand, dapped him up. He's got some mitts on him, dude. But that's not shocking whatsoever. Kevin, we got a little bit of Arizona baseball to get through. I think we're going to kind of circle back, maybe round it out with some basketball. And we're going to do that right here after the break on the AZ Wildcats podcast.
Well, Damon, one thing you know about me is I try my best to budget the way that I can, but it's difficult, Damon, and that's why our friends over at Monarch Money helped me out, because last night I ended up, my day went long. I ended up at a drive-through getting food. I wasn't planning on going through a drive-through that day. My budget wasn't planning on going through a drive-through that day. But that's why Monarch Money has my back, because they're tracking everywhere my money is going to help me adjust my budget to make my goals happen. If you're overspending on shopping, found an unexpected spending pattern, that's how Monarch Money can help you. If you have 13 subscriptions that you forgot about, they can help you realize that as well.
We all do, Kevin.
We all do, right? Start managing your finances to build the life you actually want. Monarch Money makes managing money simple, even for the busiest of people. You can track your spending, savings, and investments effortlessly. I know investing is very difficult to get into, and it's hard to track that kind of stuff, so Monarch Money will help you with that as well. Named the Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025. Very, very impressive. I don't know if you ever heard of a little company called the Wall Street Journal, but that's a big deal. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use code PHNX at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off of your first calendar year. We're trying to help you save money here, folks, at monarchmoney.com with code PHNX. Don't forget our friends over at Monarch Money.
Guaranteed to save you money. And a place that I like to go when I'm trying to win some money, Kevin, is Gila River Resorts and Casinos. My favorite casinos in the entire world. They got the 4 locations for the Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and that's going to be Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, V-Kiva, and Santan Mountain. I, of course, love Wild Horse Pass. They have the biggest BetMGM sportsbook in the state of Arizona at Wild Horse Pass, and it's a perfect place to watch March Madness and settle in for some college basketball, Kevin. They got the reimagined Upper Deck kitchen and bar, and they're turning it into a sneaker lover's dream for March 20th through 30th. That sounds pretty fire.
It sounds incredible.
Collection. Put a TM next to it. The Collection.
The
collection. Sneakers, stories, style, my brother. From the first step to the final dunk, discover the history and artistry behind each pair of these shoes. Oh, and it's Mike Bibby.
Yeah, it's the Bibby collection.
I'll be honest here, not doing justice the little copy that they give us here. They just put Bibby on the thing. Let's start this right. Arizona fans, Mike Bibby has a shoe collection that he is going to be presenting at Wild Horse Pass in the Upper Deck Swing Suite. So make sure you guys head over there. I bet you Mike Bibby's going to be there. See if you can get an autograph. It's the perfect place for Arizona Wildcats fans to go check out some college basketball and in the process be around an absolute Arizona Wildcats legend. Ring on his finger, legend. Phoenix legend, Valley native, Mike Bibby, absolute GOAT. Make sure you guys hit up the link that's going to be in our description. We'll have it in there. You do Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for more details. Kevin, I think maybe we should try to get out to the Collection one of these days that Arizona does not have a game. I think that would be pretty electric. Maybe go chat with Mike Bibby for a quick second, see his thoughts on the Arizona Wildcats. Who knows? I think we got to get out to Damon, Resorts and Casinos.
You know I'm game for that. I love all types of collectors events and things like that. I'm not a big shoe collector, but I respect the hustle. And for that reason, I'm down.
You're
to
kind
go.
of a shoe guy, though. I mean,
I'm not a shoe guy, but I'm not like I wouldn't consider myself a sneakerhead.
If you had more money, you'd be more of a shoe guy.
For sure. I think that's one of those things that has a high bar for entry. You know what I mean? It's like those like a pair of Air Force Ones is like almost $200 now, Damon.
Sheesh.
Those used to be like $80. You know what I'm saying? That's like $150 a shoe now. It's like, what's going on?
That is crazy.
It's hard. You got to get some reliable kicks. You can just rock, almost every day, and then maybe a nice pair for every once in a while. But Damon, dog, you threw something at me in between that break, and I think we should talk about that off the top. So what do we got here, Damon? There
was a list that was circulating. I believe Fox put it out, and it's a top 10 programs to have made tournaments in the history of college basketball. And Kevin, I want to do a fun exercise. So Arizona not on this list, right? Would you like to take a guess as to how many tournament appearances Arizona has, Kevin?
Ooh,
I don't know. Did you see any of the discourse around this?
I didn't. I did not. Damn. Really put me on the spot with this one, Damon, dog. I feel like I should know the answer to this off the top of my head. I really do. Wait, what was the lowest number? Let me put that back up. What was the lowest number on there? 38? What's Arizona probably at? Like 32?
Arizona is at 39, Kevin.
Wait, so where are they at?
Begs the question.
Because I was assuming it had to be lower than 38. Okay, so what's going on here, David?
Arizona has 39.
What's really going on here?
Tournament appearances. Click back on the list if you would, Kevin. I'm sure that there are some people at home that are they know exactly what.
It's the vacated ones, right?
It's the vacated ones
I understand
under Sean
that
Miller.
as well.
And now I want to play a fun exercise with you, Kevin, called Did They Cheat? Now you're gonna give me the number one team. You're gonna list off how many wins they have, and then I'm gonna say, did they cheat in the past? Go.
Kentucky.
Yes.
North Carolina.
Yes.
Kansas.
Yes.
UCLA.
Absolutely.
Duke.
100%.
Indiana.
Probably.
The Nova Boys.
Maybe not.
Louisville.
Yes.
Syracuse.
Absolutely.
And the Spartans of Michigan State.
Probably. So I'm at one school that I'm not confident cheated on that list. It's Villanova. All the rest of those teams, I am saying probably to 100% cheated, Kevin. Louisville has technically 42 tournament appearances. They've had 2 vacated, and they're at 40 on there. They are including vacated ones, and they did so just so that they could take Arizona off of the list, Kevin.
That's so crazy to me, Damon, dog. They don't want us to be here.
No,
they don't want us to be here.
The thing is, Kevin, is they genuinely don't. And as much as people want to pretend like, I think like ASU fans, for example, would be like, oh, we're biased. Like nobody actually cares about U of A like that. They do, though. Arizona is the biggest program that national college basketball people feel comfortable crapping on constantly, Kevin. And it honestly is sickening. Like, I'm so tired of stuff like that being like, well, they cheated. Our version of cheating was zero evidence or proof that anyone has ever been shown that we paid players, which is now legal, and did it like 5 years before it became legal. Whereas like, Kansas has Bill Self on the phone talking payments with Adidas shoes guys, doesn't get a single tournament vacated from him because he's Bill Self, because they're Kansas, because the NCAA would never dare to touch Kansas and the royalty that is Kansas, right? But Arizona's big enough where we can kick them a little bit while they're down. It's honestly shocking. Every time something like this comes up, it fires me up, Kevin. We should be the 10th team on that list.
Arizona should be the 10th team on that list. And it's kind of crazy that the general media would rather like big up teams like Syracuse and Michigan State.
Syracuse is nuts.
It's
dude.
Weird. Like
it's
Louisville.
Nuts.
Like I understand.
Syracuse doesn't hold a candle to Arizona basketball. I'm sorry, but they don't. Like they really don't, man. And now that Jim Boeheim is gone, what have they become? They're in complete shambles.
They don't even have Buddy Boeheim anymore, man. It's really over. That's how you know it's over. When you lose Buddy Boeheim, oh, it's over after that, man. It's over. But yeah, Damon, dog, I'm with you. Mia Vegas says it here in the chat. Confirmed media hates Arizona. There is a little bit of anti-Arizona bias out there, bubbling up at all times almost, it feels like. And it's kind of been the theme of the show. Now that I think about it, Damon, the whole theme of the show has really been, why does the media hate us? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, Kevin, it just fires me up. Especially because I hate when we pick and choose which cheaters we care about and which ones we don't. Oh,
I hate that too.
LSU bad, Arizona bad, UCLA. John Wooden built his entire program off of paying players in the 70s before everybody was doing it. Awesome. We love the pyramid of success. Isn't that great? No, like seriously.
You're cooking today, Damon, dog. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's the picking and choosing, the mental gymnastics for programs that they like versus don't like. It's just always so annoying to me. And it's because it's the combination of Arizona was an easy target, but they were big enough to make it a story. Plus the fact that, it happened in a timing aspect where there's social media and every college basketball fan is going to have it on their phone right in front of their face versus like maybe back in, the 70s when you could just show up on someone's door, hand them an envelope full of cash and leave and no one would say anything because there's no way to film it or prove it or anything. So it's just an interesting like dichotomy of like timing and society and all these things. But it sucks that Arizona is considered this like big cheating program when like literally all the top dogs have been doing the exact same things Arizona's been doing forever. In multiple of those teams, Kevin, have been proven that they've.
I mean, if you look back at the graphic, they even had to include an asterisk for Kansas, Louisville, Syracuse, and UCLA and Villanova to indicate this does not include vacated appearances. So that's honestly, like, you know what I mean? It's and Kentucky, illustrating your point about how all of these, almost more than half.
So Villanova did cheat.
Yeah, more than half of these programs, very proud programs.
Dude, the no asterisk next to Duke is so funny, dude. Our sweet boys would never.
What do you mean, Duke?
We didn't pay Zion $6 million to come to Duke.
No.
6.5 million, 250,000.
He would never.
They would never give you like an exact number.
Yeah.
We didn't pay Zion $4,250,000 $152,370 to go to Duke.
And he definitely didn't get 79 cents at the end of that.
No,
way.
Totally not.
And it definitely didn't get
and also
straight to his Cayman account.
North Carolina doesn't have any vacated, and North Carolina, Kevin,
wasn't that the academic scandal?
Yeah, they were having
they were
having
dudes learning like
players faking going to class and having people take classes for them, and they apparently haven't had no tournaments vacated. Another absolute shock. Everyone couldn't believe it, Kevin. North Carolina and Duke protected by the NCAA again. Oh, but Arizona, dirty, disgusting cheaters.
I think UNC had Caleb Love taking Senegalese. I think, you know what I mean, something like that. I don't know what language they were taking over there.
Senegalese. That'll help you in the long run.
Yeah, it's really, hey, a lot of yeah. But Damon Dog, I'm with you. The media hate is crazy. The selective memory is also crazy. That bothers me as well, especially with our Arizona. Our Arizona programs that deserve to be appreciated just a little bit more. I'm not trying to say that love fest on Arizona all the time, but can we get in these conversations that Arizona deserves to be in?
There's if you go back to like that whole scandal, Kevin, with the tapes that the FBI got their hands on. Sean Miller, like if you really dissect it, and I don't have it right in front of me right now, but like he said something to the effect of like I don't know how much we can if we can afford that or something like to that effect. Which I think that you can make the jump, obviously, that he's talking about a payment, but you could also realistically frame that in a way where it's like, hey, it's potentially he's saying like, oh, we can't afford to lose him or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Whereas there's plausible deniability.
Bill
there.
Self is like, how much does he need?
How many US dollars does he need?
Oh, 300,000. Okay, we'll make sure we'll make sure we get him that. And then the media portrayed it as like Sean Miller was like the poster child for the cheating scandal, and Kansas just swept right under the rug and got away with it completely. Unbelievable stuff. ASU fans call us U4 to this day, Kevin. I don't know if you've been alerted to the high level intelligence that is Arizona State fandom, but
geniuses.
The 4 looks somewhat like an A, so it's somewhat like UA. Yep. High level stuff there. And Arizona was named University 4 in the lawsuit. Tayshaun Cherry, ASU basketball player, committed out of high school, also in said lawsuit. Also gets glazed over constantly. So it's like it's just all this. Like all that stuff just bothers me all the time. I think we're in an era now where we can hopefully kind of put that in the past. I think that's the best side of the NIL era, right? Is like no more of this. Everybody's like, we all know it's out in the open. Everybody's making money. There's no more hiding it. But true, Alec. The scandal ultimately did bring us Tommy Lloyd. So at the end of the day, you could work your head around the fact that it was a good thing, but.
Damon,
yeah, Kevin, I just want to talk about that because I find it egregious that we're vacating our tournaments. We're vacating that's the other thing. We vacated the Buffalo tournament. You're right. It never happened. You're so right. And none of those games should count, and everybody should forget it forever. Right, Kevin?
No one should ever bring it up ever again in terms of Arizona having poor performances against teams they shouldn't, because, it didn't happen. It was vacated. That result doesn't actually exist.
No, it doesn't.
Damon, can I get us out of here on a positive note?
Let's do it.
Can I get us out of here on a positive note?
Please make I'm fired up right now, Kevin. I need a little bit of a calm down sesh.
So Arizona baseball is absolutely on fire right now, Damon Dog. And also the football team made an appearance. Now, I'm not here to just tell you that the football team was there because they were there. They were there rocking some windbreakers, Damon. Oh my God. Look at these windbreakers, Damon Dog.
Are those white?
White windbreakers with the red piping on the neckline there, a little V-neck.
Oh.
It's like cuffed there, elastic at the bottom. We need these. Arizona Athletics.
That looks like something I'd find on eBay and spend like $1,000.
Gosh, dude. And then this combined with the warm up that released, I forget which company. It wasn't Arizona Athletics that released it. It was like a third party. And Justin Spears tweeted it out. So maybe if y'all feel like scrolling through Spears' Twitter, go ahead and find it. But yeah, no, I need one of those expeditiously. I would do the Lewis and Clark expedition to get one of those, Damon Dog.
I gotta say, man, like having worked for the football team for 3 seasons, Kevin, like I did, there are sometimes they Nike just makes some piece of apparel, and it's typically like a sweatshirt, jacket, windbreaker, something of that sort. And it's just like it becomes all I can think about. And when I worked for the team, I'd be like, can I get one of those?
Please, sir.
Yeah, like
can I have another crumb, sir?
Just some of the absolute coolest custom made stuff from Nike for our the people within the athletic department. And it makes guys like me and Kevin a little jealous here.
Man, and while we're on the topic, Damon, I'll have
to spend my hard-earned damn money on my sweet 1997 championship hat.
The hoodies that the football coaches have had with the helmet on the front, can I get one of those? I would love one of those as well. Brent Brennan was rocking it yesterday in his press conference and his media availability. I would like one of those as well while we're adding it to my Christmas list. I would love one of those, Damon Dog. But yeah, Arizona, best merch in the game, most hated on in the game, Damon. But Arizona baseball, that's why we came here to talk about it initially. 16-4, they defeated the Kansas Jayhawks, who are now 17-4, in a shutout last night at High Corbett Field.
Is Kansas pretty damn good?
Kansas is pretty damn good, Damon. Coming into Tuesday's game, they had averaged 10 runs per game, Damon Dog. And Arizona shut them out using 6 pitchers to limit KU to just 4 hits, all singles, struck out 11. And only 3 times did Kansas manage to move base runners into scoring position. Damon, Arizona baseball is absolutely rolling right now. How are we feeling? The football teams out there, I think Brent Brennan made an appearance as well. The vibes are up. How are you feeling about the vibes?
I mean, I think our baseball program is in a great spot right now. Chip Hale deserves a lot of credit. I think there are a lot of people that didn't believe in Chip Hale, just given the fact that he was older, hadn't had any recruiting experience. Kevin, I was one of these people, and I like Chip Hale. I've actually had the opportunity to speak with him a couple of times. He's come out like when I was in high school. I remember he came in, when he was in the majors working. I believe he was even the D-backs manager at the time, Kevin. He came and spoke to my high school baseball team because we have a connection. His son used to be one of my club coaches for about a year.
Wow.
So I've been around Chip Hale for a long time. Just thought guy around 60 learning how to recruit. I thought that was a bad recipe, right? But now Chip Hale has made the tournament twice in his first 2 seasons. He won the Pac-12 in its final season last year. He looks like potentially like he has built the best team in the Big 12, at least so far this season. A good follow here, Kevin. I know we both saw this. Darian MB on Twitter, that's at DARIONMB on Twitter, did a Big 12 power rankings for baseball for week 5.
Yep.
Arizona at the very top, guys. Then you got West Virginia, ASU at 3, Kansas at 4, who Arizona just beat, Texas Tech rounding out the top 5 there. And then Utah all the way at the bottom, which you love to see. So yeah, Arizona, I think the last time we probably talked about them, Kevin, and we probably should have talked about them post ASUW, honestly, and that's on us. They beat ASU 3-2.
It's on us.
At High Corbett Field, Pac-12 championship pennant giveaway day, kind of a big one. That sounds pretty sweet. I actually wish I got one of those. That actually
sounds really electric.
That sounds like a missed opportunity by me and Kevin here.
Yeah.
But that being said, ever since that Tennessee game where they lost 5-1 to number 3 Tennessee on March 2nd, they have not lost a game, Kevin. They have reeled off 9 wins in that stretch. Now they are gearing up to play West Virginia for a 3-game series. This baseball team is damn good. They look to be a team that could make a very deep run. And as basketball season kind of flows out and hopefully it ends with Arizona cutting down the nets and lifting up their second national championship trophy, Kevin and I will fully lock in on other sports, but especially the diamond sports. I think baseball and softball, when they get into the end of their seasons, into the postseason, that's going to be one of the main focuses here. But obviously, we'll keep you updated on what they're doing in the meantime while we got basketball to talk about. But yeah, Arizona so far a kind of a juggernaut of a team, Kevin, and it didn't look great at first, but now it looks really good.
Yeah, I mean, you said it, 9-0 homestand. As Arizona baseball tweeted, that'll play. I love this baseball team. I think Chip Hale has done a phenomenal job building this out and kind of blocking out the noise. There has been a lot of noise surrounding what Chip Hale can and can't do when it comes to winning important games, and that obviously this year has yet to be borne out. But definitely a hot start for this Arizona baseball team, Damon. And like you said, we're gonna have you locked and loaded with all that coverage when the time comes to it.
Arizona, number 23 in the country right now. And supposedly Kansas, you mentioned that their offense was red hot, Kevin, but Arizona shuts them out last night. So, yeah, gotta make you excited for this team as an Arizona baseball fan. And yeah, I think hopefully you're not peaking at the wrong time here, Kevin, because I think it is so early in the season still. But yeah, this team has a lot of potential, and you know, you got Summerhill, you got Mason White. Go a long way with guys like that in you know, the middle of your lineup. So Arizona baseball back on top, back where they should be, Kevin. Hopefully winning this conference. I think that'd be an incredible way to start off being in the Big 12. Big 12, decent baseball conference, probably a little bit step below the Pac-12. You know, someone could come in here if they know a little bit better than me and correct me if I'm wrong on that. But I'm fairly certain Pac-12, Big 12, a little bit of a step down. But you know, Arizona was highly competitive in the Pac-12, which was probably the second best baseball conference in the country. So, you know, I expect more of the same. Kevin, if you're watching with our streaming partners, head on over to gophnx.com. We're going to round out a little bit of coverage here.
Damon, I think that means that it's overtime.
Wow.
Welcome to overtime, Damon.
That's electric.
Dog. It is electric. Welcome to overtime, ladies and gentlemen. But now that we're in the overtime period of this show, Damon, what do you got for me? We got more baseball to talk?
No, I think that's good on baseball. I think, you know, we got the job done there. Talk a little bit about women's basketball, Kevin.
Indeed. The Arizona women's basketball team hosts a game in the WBIT tomorrow night versus NAU at 6 p.m. So make sure to pop out to that. It could be the last time this year you get to support your Arizona Wildcats women's basketball team. U of A is number 2 seed in this tournament after, you know, a very, very disappointing loss to Colorado in the Big 12 tournament, Damon.
Very indicative of the season.
Indeed it was. Arizona, last time they faced NAU, had a blowout loss in Flagstaff, so hopefully maybe the home court advantage can kind of even out the tables here in this one. But in that game, they were without starting guard.
You can't lose to NAU twice.
I'm with you. No, I'm 1,000% with you. And I will say there are you know, a lot of questions surrounding the coaching position right now at Arizona women's basketball. I think that, like you said, you cannot lose to NAU twice. I'll say that much, and I'll leave it there. On the road, when they faced NAU, they were without Jada Williams and got only 14 minutes out of Brea Cunningham because of foul trouble in that one. But Paulina Paris did ball out. The Lumberjacks hit 10 threes in that first matchup, Damon. So, yeah, I think Arizona has to be better in this matchup against NAU. Like you said, you cannot lose to NAU twice in one season as the Arizona women's basketball team takes them on tomorrow night, Damon, dog.
Yep. Going to be interesting. We know Erica Day will have you covered when it comes to anything women's basketball on this beat. Make sure you give her a follow at Erica Lee Day on Twitter, no H. And also, I'm sure she'll be letting some stuff fly from our PHNX main account as well, Kevin. But I believe, hosting, right, Kevin? Hosting the WBIT.
Yeah, hosting, and if they win, they would face former Arizona guard Courtney Blakely. I know Arizona fans remember her.
How could you forget?
She now plays for Middle Tennessee, and they will face them in the second round if they get past NAU tomorrow night.
Last time I believe it was the WBIT because it's basically just the NIT for the women. Last time Arizona was in the WBIT, it was absolutely electric in McHale Center. A little bit different circumstances, Kevin. Went to a couple of those games back then, including the one where Arizona beat Northwestern to win it. But I will say Arizona was kind of an ascending program at that time. It was people were getting hyped off of having a relevant program, and although they didn't make the tournament, they went from horrible to, winning the WBIT, and people were pumped about that. So lots of crowd support. I know this women's basketball team has had phenomenal crowd support this entire season and last couple seasons, despite, being a little bit of a disappointing team. And so I expect it to be electric in there. but I don't know. It'll be interesting to compare it to kind of how it was back then, given the fact that it was an ascending program versus what looks like right now is a somewhat of a descending program. In what Arizona has with its women's basketball team right now. So I think the kind of that element will be interesting to look at, and we'll continue to monitor it. But could be big for Adia Barnes, Kevin. I don't know if this has any bearing on really what her job status. I know that Auburn has been sniffing around, and Arizona obviously doesn't have the money to financially compete with an Auburn, even though Adia Barnes, I believe, is like a top 10 highest paid women's basketball coach. So right now she is certainly in being paid like that, but the results haven't been in that regard yet. So I think Arizona would actually probably be fine with the fact that that contract is no longer in the athletic department. Whether they'd be fine losing Adia Barnes is another story. So
I mean, you can pay somebody else a lot less money to make it to a 2 seed in the WBIT, respectfully. But that's just the fact. Like, that's kind of what you're laying out. Like, if
true,
things
but
were,
I also think that the upside of an Adia Barnes is still higher than
I agree.
the upside of almost any other coach that they could bring in. So
I agree.
It's an interesting dilemma that you're left with there.
It's a double-edged sword, right? Because if Adia does depart, a lot of fans would probably stop showing up to these games the way that they've been showing up in droves. Arizona's one of the best attended games in the entire conference, and a lot of teams. I think it was Lori Burkhart that said this in our spaces. Another shout out to the spaces. That when other teams come to face Arizona, they know that it's going to be different in Arizona. It's going to be a different crowd atmosphere. There's going to be fans there that are going to be supportive. They're going to be loud, and the atmosphere is going to be different. So yeah, you might lose that if Adia Barnes is gone. But to your point, you also lose that gigantic contract without some of the results, right? So it's definitely a very complex situation. This one, it's not as cut and dry as I think a lot of people felt maybe a Brent Brennan situation last year would have been in their eyes. This one's a lot more complex with a little bit more of a fan aspect to it, right?
What's interesting about that is that, like, you're saying, like, would people stop showing up if Adia Barnes is fired or let go? Whereas with Brennan, it's the opposite. Well, people stop showing up if they have to see him on the sideline again.
That's actually a great point, Damon. I think maybe season ticket sales would have skyrocketed.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding.
I was
kidding about the skyrocket part, but
I don't even think you are kidding. I think if there was a new head coach and he had some juice to him, I do think that season ticket sales would probably do really well.
I think they would probably stay about the same, realistically. I think if anything, we're talking about them going backwards or staying where they're at. I think wins takes it forward.
True, but I think a lot of people canceled their season tickets when the announcement was made by Desiree that Brandon was being brought back. And maybe it was just a very vocal minority of people.
I think it might have been
very possible, but I did see quite a few people saying that they're done after that decision. And I understood it at the time, to be honest with you. I kind of, after some time, I hope people have mended those wounds a little bit, because I think this football program needs as much support as it could possibly get. And
agreed.
I always tell people this, like, the trickle down of being successful in football is that every other sport on campus benefits. So when Arizona fans treat football like it's like the ugly stepchild because it's not the same program as our basketball program, I think that does nothing to benefit Arizona athletics whatsoever. We need our football program to be what Jed Fish was building it into before he, snaked us and so, disgustingly left Tucson in the dust. Like that level only helps everyone else around you. So, the football program still needs our support. And we'll see under year 2 under Brent Brennan if things can get better. But Kevin, there is a world where you hire a coach and he just galvanizes the troops and gets everybody on his side, and maybe he gets Noah to stay and brings in a big transfer running back or something. You know what I mean? Like, this is,
I do.
All of that stuff, which is somewhat of what Brent Brennan did, to be fair. Like, he brought in Texas State's Ishmael Mahdi, who's a big time transfer running back. He kept Noah. He brought in a new young OC with some juice. So, I think you could argue that things are moving in that direction, but I just think the fact of, like, the head man being the same guy, people are going to be turned off by that. Whereas they could be juiced up by somebody young and fun and that communicates with the media well. But we will see in year 2 under Brent Brennan. That was a very encapsulated look at the entire athletic department.
It kind of was.
Talk basketball, football, softball, and baseball here and women's basketball.
We even talked about how the media is looking at the entire athletic program as a whole. We did like a full bird's eye view and the micro view of things, Dan. We kind of killed it today, man.
We definitely did. And Arizona softball plays GCU.
Bang!
At GCU today.
That's crazy. Buzzer beater again.
Another buzzer beater from AZ Catch G. It's his MO. It's become his MO.
It is, yeah.
Speaking of buzzer beater, plus 100 on the books, Kevin. Buzzer beater in the NCAA tournament. I'm feeling juicy. There wasn't one last year. I think we're due for one this year. AZ Catch G says, buzzer beater, good show, guys. BTFD. It's overtime.
OT.
We appreciate you as always, brother. One of the good soldiers of this podcast, AZ Catch G. Great dude. Thank you so much for your support. Kevin, I already mentioned it. GCU softball stadium today. Arizona Cats versus Lopes. 7 p.m. Big game.
Huge game. Excited.
Number 10 Cats.
Let's try to hamper down the GCU momentum as they head into the tournament. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Try to do our best to keep them focused on basketball because they ain't gonna win that game, Damon.
Certainly hope not. I know that GCU does have a good softball program.
No, yeah, I know. I'm just trying to be confident for our softball team.
I believe they beat ASU earlier this season. And another interesting thing, Arizona plays 3 straight games at ASU after in Tempe. So it is rivalry week for the Arizona Wildcats as things go Wednesday through Sunday here. GCU at GCU and at ASU for three games. Some Phoenix games for the Cats here. Probably staying up in the Valley this whole time. We'll be giving them some good vibes, Kevin. And maybe we can get out there for a game or two. We'll see.
That'd be fun.
But make sure you guys support the Cats there. Make sure you guys support us. Like this video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Follow me at Damon Dog. That's DAWG. Follow Kevin at KevoPost. That's KEVOPOSTS. Follow our account at PHNX_Wildcats. Follow PHNX_Sports as well, the main account. And we will be back for a preview edition of the first round of the NCAA tournament. Arizona plays Akron on Friday. We're going to be breaking down that matchup singularly tomorrow, Kevin. But McHale Madness tonight at 7 p.m. Make sure you're there for that. Saul Bookman, Corey Williams, former Arizona Wildcat. They'll be breaking it all down on there. And we will have Corey Williams, as you mentioned, Kevin, in segment 1 on the show tomorrow with us to kind of help break down the Akron matchup. Until then, we will see ya. Peace. Bear down.
Stop hating on our Cats, Jeff Goodman. Dang.